Hey everyone, you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and I'm your host, Andrew Davis. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that you need to support what you like and you need to financially support what you like. So whether that's this show, my guests, anime, or anything that you enjoy, you actually need to go out and support it because without your money, it doesn't get made. So enough about that though, because I don't want to bore anybody and I don't want to be a beggar. As I have with me voice actress Dani Chambers. So welcome to the show.
Hi, happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited because I've been hearing your voice in a lot of different shows lately. And
Yeah.
you're all over the place and you're in some very interesting and some very prominent shows. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of your roles from the Ancient Magus Bride to Bem to Shadow House and a few others. But before we get into all that, I am curious, how did you get into voice acting? Because I think your story is interesting.
Yeah, I've always been an actor at heart, and so being able to just hop into the voiceover world was really cool. I've been acting since I was 6, been doing stage and a little bit of film, and then got back into voice acting in 2013. Started taking some classes, took one with Chris Rager back in 2014 or 16. I think it was either 16 or 17. But anyway, took a class. The right people heard me and then brought me in, and I started doing it ever since.
Yeah, that's interesting because, obviously you're from what I like to call sort of generation 2.0, 2.5, where anime really started getting big, late 1990s. And then there was that class. And then obviously there was a class after that. And then there was almost like the 2012, almost 2018 class. And you were right in the middle of that, where anime was, I don't want to say transforming, but it wasn't the 3 beep system, or that was starting to phase out and it was starting to become more computerized, and it was right at that time getting big. So what was that like really coming in? Because the anime movement, at least in my view, really started taking place, around the time you came into the business.
It was a little bit surreal because I wasn't sure what exactly to look forward to in this time, because things were changing constantly. Like it's always different. There's always something new. That's, I think, affects like the process of how to get in and stuff like that. But it was interesting just trying to learn how to make it in the industry and try to figure out how to navigate the waters. So it felt like I was like building the rails while still like chugging away. So it was hard for a bit, but I think I've eventually got the hang of it. But it was cool to rise up in a generation, or I say generation, but like in a crew who like worked together to be where we're at, and like eventually like made it. And it's a really cool feeling, and I really do love it.
Yeah, and then let's even talk about that, because obviously your first role was very interesting as Zenko Fujiwara.
Mm-hmm.
And I get this name wrong, this show's name, and I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm going to take the L on this one. And I do not want to embarrass myself tonight. But it's, I think, Moros. Yeah, I'm not going to get it. It's really
It's
bad. I'm not going to get it. So
the Morose Mononokean.
yes, that show,
Yes.
because it's perfect for Halloween. It really is.
I love it. It was a very cozy show. Back when Tyler Walker was directing, he was what was it? I came in for an audition. He loved my voice, and he wanted to just he really enjoyed my voice and wanted me for this character. And I was like, yeah, definitely, sure, I would love to do it. But yeah, like thanks to Tyler, Kyle got to hear me, and then that's how I got Ancient Magus Bride. But working on Marissa Mononoke was a lot of fun, and people like, oh, your first role was Chise. I'm like, no, actually, it wasn't. It was the Marissa Mononoke as Neko Fujiwara for a Blu-ray series. So it didn't come out because it wasn't a simuldub. So a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and let's even talk about that, because this is one of the things that, obviously I speak to a lot of voice actors and actresses, and, it's tough because you could be really good and you could be going on an audition and there's two great candidates and you are the number two and you miss it by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And even the fact that, somebody wanted to hear your voice and then they wanted to cast you. And then obviously once you get your foot in the door, you then sort of somebody says, oh, I have this show coming up, and then you fit it, which was Ancient Magus Bride as Chise. So what was that like? Because I don't want to say, and I don't believe that people get lucky, but sometimes people are in the right place at the right time.
Oh, absolutely. So how I got Ancient Magus Bride, whew, I was when I was working with Tyler on Roast Mononoke, and he was sick for a couple weeks, and Kyle Phillips when he was directing at Funimation at the time, and he was working with me, and we're like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, this is a great session. And then afterwards, he said, hey, so what are you doing for the next 24 weeks? I'm like, working, but if you need me for whatever, I'm here, I guess. I was thinking like, consistent bits, or, just somebody who can rely on for like extra stuff. And so he's like, yeah, I think I want to use you in my new show. I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, totally. Didn't even think about it. Got called in for like 2 hours. I was like, whoa, 2 hour Walla? That's strange. But whatever. But yeah, it was super weird at first. And then when I had my first session, I see Chise on the screen, and I was like, oh, what's this? And he's like, yeah, so you're gonna be Chise. I'm like, cool. What's a Chise? And he says she's the main character of the show. I was like, oh, that's cool. Thank you so much. Like, I was very, I was like in shock. I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, I liked your voice, liked working with you. I just see how we can make this together. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, it was really cool. So yeah.
Let's even talk about this, because obviously Chise has a lot going on. And
Yes.
her character is complicated. Her character also struggles, but her character is so rewarding too in so many ways. And I mean, you and Brian just have really good chemistry. And Brian was on my show a little while ago. And he was fantastic. And I'm a huge One Piece fan, so that was just very special for me. But what was this like, even just finding her character and everything she's dealing with, and also how she's rising above it, because she's really actually an inspirational character too.
Oh, it was definitely hard because she had, for those who have not seen the show, I won't spoil too much, but she had a rough childhood, a very, very, very rough childhood. And
You think a little?
yeah. So I don't want to spoil it, but it was hard. And I'm fortunate enough not to have a childhood that tragic, but like to tell her story and to try to rise above all the negativity and all the pain that you had in your life, to rise above it was really cool. And I love telling that story, because you make it through with people who care about you, like real people who care about you. And I any chance I get to tell like a little story, or to let people know that you can get through the hard times, it's so worth it. And I feel honored to be able to tell her story, to bring people to show that there is good that comes out of the bad.
Yeah, because one of the things that I like about her is that, obviously, I mean, I'm trying not to ruin too much, but she winds up in a situation, and then Elias sort of brings her out of that situation, and then she becomes, into something greater than I think her character could have ever imagined. And just the relationship with her and Elias, and obviously I was, mentioning about you and Brian. I mean, and for those who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, voice acting is a very alone activity, where it's you, the director, and maybe a sound engineer. But the two of you together, and the scenes with Elias are just brilliant and are just so on point between the two of you. And what was that like? Because that sometimes doesn't happen in anime. And it almost sounds like the two of you were just going back and forth and recording, but it wasn't done that way.
No, we don't record together whenever we record anime. I really wish we could because the chemistry feeding off of each other is so great, especially for theater actors. Because me and Brian are both theater actors. Brian does a lot of theater. I actually saw him in Clue a couple weekends ago, so that was really cool.
Because that's what makes this so cool is that
Yeah.
it's so spot on that this doesn't just happen. And I'm not, dissing Funimation or anything like that, but it's the idea that this is a step above. The only other thing that I could think of is J. Michael Tatum and Brina Palencia in Spice and Wolf is the only
Mm.
other show that I could think of that is even close to this.
Oh man. Hell, I would even say Snow White with the red hair uh is up on top because that's like one of my favorite romance animes. Um
Just the quality and how just the chemistry, because it's utterly perfect and
yeah.
it's so good that it's not noticeable, but it's noticeable when you watch another show.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome. I love Brian's voice and I love how he brings this sort of softness to Elias as well. Like he has that curiosity feel and also like, the demon part of himself. So it's you can hear that internal struggle that he's dealing with in his performance and I really really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's just a fantastic show, and even when you were coming into this, what was that like too? Because this was one of those shows that I don't think anybody really knew what to expect with it, but it has very much become a very popular show. A lot of people know it, and obviously this is early on in your career, and it's kind of a big deal, I think, because this I believe was your first lead role, and you're
Mhm.
relatively new. And then this show has taken off, and there's been a lot of stuff. Obviously, there's some Pop Funko stuff with this as well. And so, what was that like too? Because that also doesn't happen either sometimes with people's careers. Where I know this wasn't your first role, but this was really early on.
It was more like a shock because didn't realize how popular the show is. I thought it was just like a certain niche, but it actually is a very popular show, and I'm 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 glad even more people are recognizing it. Now it's getting a season 2 next year. Woo! Um, I guess I wasn't prepared for like how it was gonna happen. I guess. Um, but mind you, it was still a niche show. Not a lot of people knew it, but quite a few knew it. I will say that, yeah.
Yeah, no, and obviously, I think that when it dropped, it was niche, and I think in the last few years, it's gotten a lot more popular. I also think that COVID might have helped that because people, when they were home, obviously, you start going through Crunchyroll, you start going through a bunch of other things, and you're like, cool, this show looks interesting, and then, well, obviously, people had time to consume it, and obviously, there is a season 2 coming, and so what is that like too? Because it's a great show. And
Hmm.
what is that like? Because not every show in anime gets to finish up. Not every show gets a season 2 or season 3 or even gets an OVA and gets to finish the story correctly and gets to really, kind of continue what the show set up in a lot of ways. And so what is that like for you in that fashion?
Uh,
I mean, what is it like to get to return to a character that
I try-
really, I think, set your career off the right way, if
it's.
that makes any sense?
I mean, it feels weird because, man, it feels weird because I hadn't visited that character since 2017. And to hop back in it just like I did it yesterday, or like if I did it like yesterday or tomorrow or whatever, it's hard because it's like I got to go back into that mindset of their story, and like thankfully I have the manga so I can catch up, but or refresh, but like there's so much behind it that people don't realize that it's kind of hard to get back into character. Sometimes it's hard to get back into character, but these characters, even though they're already established, we have to we kind of put ourselves in their shoes, in their situations, and that's how we get the best um, eh, the best read out of us. You know, we're not just saying the lines. Yeah, we're giving our adaptation, our spin on it, but we're still telling the same story.
Yeah, and I would also imagine, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but there also must be some pressure too, because obviously season one really went well, and I think there's been a lot of hype for season two and for this show to continue. And what is that like? Because I feel like at this point now, people know this show. It's a lot bigger than when it was first premiering. And obviously, you're a little bit more seasoned as a voice actress. And I think that, people are really pumped up for it, including myself. And we're as fans, and I think I can speak for everybody who's a fan here, it's kind of like we've been waiting for this to drop. And so, what is that like for you coming into it, even 5 years later now, and being like, okay, cool. Now, a lot more eyes are on me with this show.
It's a little bit surreal, and it's gonna be a different feeling now that, like, oh man, and now that, like, more people are gonna see it, and it's gonna be, I mean, it was a simuldub last time, but it's gonna be another simuldub, but it's a continuation of the story. So we're gonna get even more character development, more characters, more magic, more cool stuff. So it's just, it's gonna be awesome, and I literally can't wait to see what the fans think of it.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to push any further because obviously, if you haven't seen this show, it's really a wonderful show. It's amazing, 24 episodes. It's a little bit slow in the beginning, I will say that. But once you get past episode 3, I mean, you kind of really get into it. And that's all I'm going to say on it. And I don't want to ruin anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet because it's really a wonderful show. I thoroughly enjoyed me watching it and going down it. I did not, to be very honest, think that I was going to enjoy the show and fall in love with it. And I have in a lot of ways. So, it's one of those things where if you think that on episode 1, you're not liking it, give it a few more episodes because I guarantee you're going to find something very interesting that happens. And it's very thought provoking too. But I don't want to push any further because I'm going to ruin this show for everybody.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much.
But I do want to talk about your other roles, and I'm really big into sports animes right now.
Sure, yeah.
And you did do a fun sports anime that I also thoroughly enjoyed, and I might get the name wrong, but I think it's Harukana Receives.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
And that one is fun. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm a sucker for sports animes that are about 12 episodes, 12 or 13 episodes, because they're easy to watch. It's a weekend activity for me. I enjoy volleyball, where I thoroughly enjoyed Haiku, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed this one. And you were Isa Takabana, I want to say, or Tachibana.
Tachibana, yeah.
And very, very interesting character. A lot of fun character and a lot of stuff's going on. So what was this like? Because she is an interesting character. She's a fun character. And this just seemed like a fun role, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was fun. It was it was interesting because I do like beach volleyball. I'm not like a hardcore gamer of it, but it was a lot of fun. I liked playing off of, I think I played off Felicia Angel for my partner in that game, in that show. It was really fun. I liked it. Yeah, I didn't really watch it while it was coming out. I just recorded my stuff. But I should go back and watch it. I just don't have time anymore to even watch any other shows that I already have on my watch list.
Yeah. Even talking about that, I mean, it is a fun show. It's a very enjoyable show. And obviously, I mean, you're now getting really busy between actually getting characters to voice act and doing a bunch of other things. And so what is that even like for you as a voice actress? Because it's kind of a good problem to have in a lot of ways when you have a lot of roles and a lot of stuff is coming up.
Yeah. Sorry, say it again. You were cutting up there. I was trying to listen so hard.
Oh, no, 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 no. What is this like for you? Because obviously, I mean, you've been in a bunch of roles, and obviously, you are now starting to be, requested and being sought after for a bunch of different anime roles, and being in a very interesting position that you don't have time to watch anything beyond what's on your watch list in the anime
Mhm.
world because, well, you're getting booked for all the roles, and a bunch of other things are coming up, and that you're busy doing all this stuff with all these top shows. And what is that like? Because it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, oh man, I wish it was I wish it was just constant bookings. It's actually not. It's mainly just me trying to get my life together, and I'm getting married next month, so it's a lot of things. But um the saying of like stay booked and busy. I know I would love that, but when I'm not booking, I want to learn, find other ways to use my time. Like I started assistant directing a couple years ago, and just learning that and trying to get on it and do the best that I can to constantly keep growing.
This is interesting. So, I mean, one of the things is that obviously I come from the comic book world. I also come from, I'm a huge professional wrestling fan,
Hmm.
especially on the indies. And what's starting to happen is that I think a lot of people are come to the conclusion that, hey, I have this talent of my main talent, whether that's writing a comic book or being a professional wrestler or even in voice acting, but there's also an idea of script writing. There's an idea of ADR. There's also an idea of directing or assistant directing because it's not just voicing anymore. And there's a lot of things that can be done in this sector because let's be realistic, voice acting can be very strenuous on
Oh,
your
it
voice.
is very
And
strenuous.
it could be exhausting. And also, it's good to know how to assist and direct. I mean, if you're in the booth and even if you're not assistant directing or directing, it's a good skill to know how that works because it can only
Hmm.
help you in the long run. And then there might come a time where you want to save your voice, but then you can go into directing. So what is that like for you? Because I think it's smart to realize that you need to have a future and that you're not looking for a job, but you're looking for a career.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Doing voiceover is pretty much it is a career. Some people make that choice to make that their career, and they can make it work. But some people, especially when you're starting off, voice acting is not the only job unless you find something that works for you. Then yeah, but like I still work a part-time job because voice acting doesn't pay the bills. We don't get residuals. We don't. It will depend on certain project. At least in anime, we don't get like residuals or like a consistent paycheck. It's if you're booked, you're working. If you're not booked, you're not working. So it, it's just having a balance between the two. So I did assistant directing because I know that's how I can grow, and also as another job, but also how to be a better communicator and how to take that and learn from giving direction, but also learning how to take direction with other folks.
Yeah, and I think it's smart because obviously you're also getting your foot in the door, you're making connections and a variety of other things, and it can only help you because it's only a skill that I think is going to allow you to grow. And I think that that's the thing that people need to figure out. I mean, I've been talking a lot about in the comic world the R word, relationships. Everybody, relationships.
Hmm.
Um, there are a lot of R words that could have been said. Relationships is the one we're looking for. And I think that it is smart because again, it's tough. I mean, being a voice actor is not an easy career. It's not an easy profession. And anything that can give you a leg up, is going to be useful. But that's how I see it looking, in versus looking out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But going back to your roles, I do want to talk about one of my favorite shows that you were in, and this little cute little thing right here, Shovel from Doctor.
Oh yeah.
So cute, just so cute. She's so cute, and she's so perfect in so many ways. So, what was this like? Because this is just fun, and this is not a main role, but it's Doctor Stone. Doctor Stone was one of those shows that was a sleeper, and it's an awesome show.
Oh, it's great.
Season one was brilliant. Season two was great. season 3 is gonna beat season 2 by far. It's epic. I mean, the special with like the fact that they like awakened like a yacht pirate king guy. Oh, it was great. It's
Oh
great.
yeah. It's
So
gonna be
great.
good. I'm excited. Shovel, I love my little bucktooth baby. She's adorable. Uh it was just anytime she got to pop in for the episode, I just I loved it. Every time I walked in, Cliff would be like, "We got Shovel." So every time I see her on screen now, I always would be like, "Oh, it's Shovel."
I think this is a great role. And what is this like? Because this seems like it's a fun role. This seems like it's not a stressful role. Like, Chise doesn't seem like she's a stressful role, but there's a lot of pressure on her role. I feel like with Shovel, there's like no pressure. There's just no
Mhm.
pressure. And it's just fun to go into the booth, have a blast. You're part of a great show. You're part of a show that nobody hates, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yeah.
you can't hate Dr. Stone. You just can't.
Oh no, I don't. Well, some people can just because they want to, but like, it's just fun. I think anime is fun, and if people have like really, I don't know, it's. I have opinions about that. I'm not gonna talk about it, but it's like it's a fun show, and people don't like it. That's okay. Um, but no, I enjoy being in it, even for the little part that I have, and it's so much fun. And I'm very grateful to Cliff for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's also, it's a reoccurring, minor support character role, and it's just a great character, and I think anytime anybody can be in a show like Doctor Stone, or even a show like One Piece, or a show like Naruto, it's always a good thing, and I think fans would kill to have even a minor role in that, let alone voice actors and actresses. I mean, it's kind of a dream, I would imagine, to be in one of these types of shows that just runs away and it's just a wild show and people love it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's something you could just turn on that, like, turn your brain off, and well, actually, no, because you can actually learn stuff. That a lot of the stuff is very accurate, which is really, really cool, and I appreciate that. I like it when shows do that when it's, uh, like, really when it's real, like, real scientific stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's just a great show, and it's a fun show. And then even just jumping further into another show that I thoroughly like that some people may or may not like. It's Bem, because that show is crazy, and that
Oh,
show's got
yeah.
a deep history. I mean, if you are a Japanese monster fan, this is like the show.
That
This
was
is
because it was an old '80s cartoon.
It goes back like so far. It goes back to like, I think like the 60s or the 70s.
I think so.
Cause yeah, cause it's crazy because you were in the show's 50th anniversary year.
Yeah, let me see. I just Googled it. In 1968.
Yeah, right. It's like
Woo!
there's been like I think like a live action or like then there's been like another anime. There's been like 3 animes. It's crazy, and it's like I think you were Bella in this show,
Mhm.
and obviously it's a bunch of yokais trying to become humans, and then they fight other yokais, and it's an intense, fun, semi-graphic show, and it's very thought-provoking. And what was this like? Because I feel like this was underrated,
Mhm.
but when you go back and you look at it, because I saw parts of it when it first came out, and then obviously I rewatched it, and I'm like, this is actually really thought provoking on why would a group of people, go against their own kind and want to become human. And I think it's very thought provoking. I think it's actually very, topical in certain ways right now in the world.
Yeah, it's interesting, how like their goals have always been one to become human, but they don't really know why. But we get a little bit more in depth with Bella because of it. Like she wants to experience normalcy rather than just doing the same old hiding herself. She wants to be herself. She wants to not deal with the pressures of being mocked or being chased out because she's a monster. So um I her reasoning is understandable because she's still a young girl. Well, she's a young monster, I should say, who doesn't want to be different anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's cool, and I also like the fact that obviously, we dive into that, we get into that thought process, and even the fact that I mean, this show has so much history, and I mean, 50 years of history when it was coming out in the anime world, 50 plus years of history. What was that like? Because I mean, it's kind of cool when certain shows and concepts have been around forever. And obviously, I mean, 50 years is not forever, but I don't know many, anime stables or even many, Japanese monster shows that have had a 50-year history. And so what was that like being part of that? Because it's kind of a big deal and it's kind of cool. And it's kind of etching your name into that history and that sector.
That was actually pretty interesting because I didn't realize um how how old it was, because it reminds me of like old school gargoyles, like oh geez, sorry. It reminded me of like old school gargoyles from the 90s. I grew up with that, and so like I was like, oh, this feels cool. Like I feel like it's an unofficial like spin-off from gargoyles. I know it's not, but I just imagine that because of the accuracy and how old it is and how it can be like so cool, and yeah, I love it. I think it's a good show.
Yeah, no, I think that it's one of those shows that is underrated. And I think that, if you go sit down, you watch it, you say, I'm going to go watch, 5, 6 episodes of it. I think that, people will be like, oh, this was when I first watched it. Because again, I saw it in passing and then I came back to it. And on my second attempt watching it, I had a very different reaction. And it could have been, my mood that day when I first watched it. It could have just been the time of the year. It could have been, obviously, I kind of watched it back in 2018, and then I watched it previously before, writing this interview. Um, Obviously, I'm a little bit older, and
Hmm.
so that could also be it as well. And also, my positions on anime has changed, and what I'm watching and what interests me, and also even just the thought behind it. And obviously, we evolve as people, so
Hmm.
certain things will hit us in a different fashion than when we're younger. But I just thought it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I also enjoyed some of the scenes and some of the violence in it. I thought were really cool. Really
Yeah,
cool. Not gonna lie.
yeah. They're pretty tight. I liked it, and I like her. She has ice power. Um, so I'm like, yes, that's so good. Yes.
And so I like that. But then I do want to talk about a more positive show. And Kokoro Hasagawa from Smile Down the Runway.
Oh, Kokoro Hasegawa. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. This is like the complete opposite of Ben. This is the complete opposite. It's absolutely about fashion. It's about a bunch of other stuff, and it's great. It's about modeling. We're in Paris, France. I mean, this show is completely like a 180 out of Ben. It's like it's the complete opposite, and this is just an absolutely like feel good type of show, I feel.
Yeah, it's different because it's these characters wanting to be the best fashion designer they can be, and with my character, she's really tall, but she has like she's a talented model, but she doesn't want to do that. She wants to be a fashion designer, and so she struggles with trying to stick up for herself. Um but also while trying to manage her modeling career, and she has to choose, and she chooses to be a fashion designer, but something's keeping her from make like going full forward into it. And I love her story, and I love how sweet she is, and she's so determined, and she's willing to help out whoever she can, but mainly learning to stick up for herself is I think the main point, and I feel like this show does a good job of that. And it's not like, oh my gosh, she suddenly gets confidence. It's more of what she goes through and how she deals with everything. And I love that. I love it so much.
Yeah, no, what I enjoyed it, and look, I haven't seen all this show, and I'm very upfront about that, but I've seen a few episodes. What I liked about this show is that it's just different than everything else that's out there in the anime world. I feel right
Hmm.
now, and there's shows that are similar to it, but this is an area that typically I don't think anime fans get to experience. And that's what's cool about it, is it's nice to see something different, and a little odd for me as a 29-year-old male to be watching it. Definitely not what I think people will expect on my show for me to openly say that I watched a few episodes of this, but it's also nice to see something that's outside the box, because we typically see things in Japan. We don't see, something in France. We don't see something in that regard, and it's kind of nice to see it that way. And that's what I liked about this show, is that it provided a very different, I feel, outlook in the anime world.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think I love stories like that because it's so different, and it's not. I mean, I feel like it would be predictable, but it wasn't, at least for the ending, because I thought it was gonna go a whole different direction. But no, I really enjoyed it. I loved it so much.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed her, and obviously she has, semi-purple hair. And since we're on purple-haired characters, let's talk about The Day I Became a God, because
Oh,
that's a crazy show. That show makes you cry. It makes you cry. Just as Hina Sato, and she's a fascinating character, and that show makes you cry. It really does. So
oh God, yes. Oh, oh my God, yeah. Oh man. Uh, yes. Have you seen Clannad or Angel Beats? This is the show. This is one of those shows that will just kick you in the heart.
this is like Plastic Memories all over again.
Yes.
It really is. It really
Uh,
is. And oh
my
man.
heart. My heart. This show. I won't spoil why, but like it was so good, and it was hard though because I had to speak Shakespearean and match flaps. Like it's very difficult. People think the dubbing is really easy. It's not. Like you have to complete certain amount of lines in like a certain amount of hours or minutes, and you have to make sure your flaps match. It's people don't realize how difficult it is, and then you have to add Shakespeare language on top of it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I don't want to ruin what happens, because I know what happens, but obviously, I mean, it kicks you in the heart. It definitely takes a piece out of you. After the ending, I'm gonna say you might have to put down your computer for a few minutes. Is all I'm gonna say, or your tablet. But what is that like? Because the build up to this point, I mean, every episode, it wasn't even a long series, which made it also nice too, is that it wasn't like we had 50 episodes of build up. It was a relatively short build up, so every episode mattered. And then you got to see that payoff. And what was that like? Because again, not every show has a great payoff. And I feel like this show had a great payoff.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of some people didn't really like the ending, um, which was interesting because I thought it was going to go a different way. But even though I'm not a huge fan of the ending, I still liked it. I thought it was good, and I thought that it was like a nice bow tied around everything, and I I loved the story it told because I'm like, how do what I say without spoiling it?
I
it
thought let me give you another show that might give more context. You've seen The Office, right?
Mhm.
You've seen how The Office ended, right?
Yes.
I felt The Office ended in a very satisfying way. Did I think The Office could have ended better? Of course. Did The Office end, though, probably in the best place? Arguably, I don't know how you get to a better place and give everybody a satisfying ending, where you gave every character in The Office a satisfying ending. And I felt that this show did that. Was everybody happy with the ending? Could there have been a better ending? Ultimately, of course. In a perfect world, if you had every top writer there and every top, person, and reworked the story 15 ways and unlimited money, you could have had a better ending. But I felt that it was so satisfying, where I felt like,
Mhm.
okay, I can live with this ending and not be disappointed. much like I was comfortable with the way The Office ended. Now, I'm 29, so I don't remember Seinfeld, but I've seen the ending to Seinfeld. That was not a satisfying ending.
Mm.
So that, like, if they gave me a Seinfeld ending to this show, that would have been a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen Seinfeld. I mean, I've seen the show, but I haven't seen the ending. But like, it depends on who you talk to. But I think it was a very fine ending because there's no. I don't think there's going to be a season 2 at all, for reasons. But I think it was a very like this is a nice ending to put on it, and I think I think if it went longer, it would be too much because I feel like this was a show that kind of made you think. It had to make some questionable decisions, and it really kind of makes you think like ethically about it. I won't say why, but you're just like, oh my god, can they do that? So it was difficult to kind of think that through after it all ended because it's like, what do you do? And it was hard. I cried for the very last episode, and it was hard because it's like I had to let go of this character, but I also cried a couple episodes before. And for those that have not watched it, when you watch it, you'll understand why.
Yeah. I think that there were a lot of decisions. I felt like this was an adult decision-making show.
Mm-hmm.
Is a good way to put it, in my opinion, at the very least. Now, people could disagree with me. I don't want to ruin things for people. That there's plenty of other things, and if you want this entire thing ruined for you, there's plenty of YouTube channels that'll help you out. That's all I'm gonna say. And or you can just watch it. You can just watch it. And it's like, what is it, 12 or 13 episodes, right?
Yeah, I think there's 12.
I mean, seriously, this weekend, everybody can go watch it and enjoy it and have a blast. But anyway, enough about that because I don't want to push it. But I thought it was nicely wrapped up, and obviously, it's a very emotional character, and I think that there's something to be said about also getting to voice a character and then for it to be over, even though the job is over. I think there's something to be said that people, I think, remember characters that, sometimes have short runs or are part of 12, episode series. And like, you did a bang up job with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I was. It's one of those things where it's like I can't. Oh god, I need to take a minute and just like sit down because like, ooh.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those, and I think those are the ones though that people really connect with. I also think that I mean, obviously, I talk to fans, and I'm not a voice actor by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't want to enter that field. Anime is a relaxer for me, and I do
Mm-hmm.
not want to ruin that. Me coming into voice acting, if I can even do it, would ruin it. If I was to become a voice actor, it would ruin anime for me. And
Mm.
so there's a choice being made purposely to not pursue. Um, but I thought that it was a great job. But obviously, since we're talking about pink characters, and I'm really on this like pink, vibe right now. This
Ah, yes.
yeah. So I
Yes.
don't know. Are we all gonna be heroes today?
Yes, we are. Oh my god, yes. Oh, I love Mawada and I wish we find out more about her, but I don't think we're gonna find out. Oh my god. I love her so much, even though I don't know much about her. Oh man, it makes me sad because I wish we could get more information about them and like figure out what their quirk is because it seems like she has like a lot of puffy stuff, and if it's a cloud quirk, I will probably cry because I love clouds, I love stars, I love moons, like everything. That aesthetic, I love it. And if she has this, then I will, oh my god, I will cry. But we see her in the manga, and she's in class 2A, I believe. As I was second class, second home class. So I think they got kicked out, but then got reinstated. Because Aizawa tested them or something. I can't remember. It was a while back. But yeah, it says she comes back, so we're just waiting. And I feel like the show's almost done, or the manga's almost done. So I'm like, what's happening?
Hey! Look, this is what I've been saying about anime. I've said about One Piece. Never say never. We're at the stage right now, I feel, with anime and manga and all this stuff that spin-offs happen, other things happen, characters get spotlights, the light novels are occurring. I mean, anything is fair game. And I mean, that's the way I see it, is that never say never, because there's so much money in My Hero Academia that
Mhm.
to count anything out would be the dumbest idea on the planet. It's the same thing with One Piece. Count anything out is the dumbest idea on the planet. That's all I'm
Yeah,
going to
it's
say on
true.
that stuff. And so never say never is all I'm going to say.
We'll see. I'm just waiting because I'm like, I would love to be a character that has a quirk. I mean, I have a quirk in My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, but she's baby. She can't kick butt. She's just there to be cute.
Very much so. Very much so. And then obviously, I want to also talk about Shadow House, because
Oh god, yeah.
that's a show. And I'm not going to lie, that show creeps me out.
It's a good creeper show.
It's creepy. It's definitely creepy. And so yeah, like but it's a great role. It's a great role. People love it. People who I do not expect to be watching it are watching it. And yeah, so what's the story behind this, and what has this been like? Because this show's been fire.
It's so good. I love I kind of like the creepy child uh like shows. Like I love The Promised Neverland, the first season. That one was really
That
good.
was a good show too.
Yeah. And so this reminded me of it. And so when I got to be in it, I was like, oh, yes, gothic babies. Yes. So I enjoyed it. It's fun to work on. And I like solving the mystery while going through it because it makes it more interesting. That way I get to try and guess whenever I'm recording. And it's so great to kind of see the reaction of the engineer and the director, be like, did I get it right? And they'll tell me like yes or no, or I find out, and it's really, really fun.
Yeah, her past is interesting, and there's a lot of stuff going on with her. She's an interesting character. And
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and what has this been like? Because obviously, I don't know if you've done cons, but obviously, as this is on the newer side, but there's a huge fan base for her. And so, what has that been like on a fan reaction? Because I think that's something that's really interesting as well.
Um, well, honestly, I didn't know that there was like a big following for her. I know it's for the show, but for the character, I'm not exactly sure. But I do love the fact that Emilico's called like the little Miss Sunshine. She's always finding the positivity out of everything, and she does her best to help everybody. And like I recorded the last episode of season two a couple weeks ago, and just seeing how far she's come and how much she's been more confident in I mean, she's always been confident in who she is, but to even see her just stand up for herself, for other people, is fan freaking tastic. And I'm like, yes, I want to see babies stand up for themselves like this and defy the evils of adulthood.
Yeah, no, because it's just one of those shows that's just absolutely fantastic, and it really is just a great role. And obviously, I mean, the show is just killing it, and her, and just the complications with her, and when we find out more about her past and all sorts of stuff. And I think it's also the idea that the Gothic Lolita stuff right now is really popular
Hmm.
as well. And so I just think it's really just a great show, and it's just it has everything working for it.
Oh, absolutely. And I really hope they do season 2 or 3.
Yeah, and then one of my favorite shows that I just got into, and I'm not done with it yet, but it's Banished from the Heroes Party. I decided to live a
Oh, that's a
quiet
good
life.
one.
in the country said, I love these shows, right? I love these shows. These shows to me are like candy, right? You know, you ever go to the store and your parents say, get whatever you want and I don't care what the bill is?
Oh, that's a yes.
This is that show for me. And so this is that show. I think it's ridiculous. I don't do anything. I don't play on my phone when I'm watching it. I just watch it, but I thoroughly enjoy it. Again, I'm only halfway through, but I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's fun. It's so relaxing to me, and it just takes my mind out. It's like, you know, a skeleton night in another world. It's that type of show where it's like an isekai and it's just an adventure, and it's just that, like, the world is just so open that, like, I want to go into that world and have a good time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's good because it still has, like, the light novel's really cute too. Like, I absolutely love the show. It's very, I love the sweetness of it and how they don't take forever with the romance. Oh, because I hate it when shows drag on the romance. It's so annoying.
Yeah, no, I just love it. It's just nice. It's relaxing, and I love it. And I love the fact, and I want more of it. You know, obviously, I have, I think, 6 or 7 episodes left, and I'm hoping that we get more of it. I don't know if we do, but obviously, I love it. And even if it's only 13 episodes, it's been a well 13 episodes spent
Oh yeah.
for me. And that's my thing, is that it's been a well 13 episodes spent when I finish it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then there's 2 more I want to talk about, and they're interesting, and it's this and this.
Oh gosh.
And then there are a lot of my male friends who are a lot older than me that love this. So I don't know if I should be questioning them or congratulating them. I'm still very confused on it, but I know this show is really popular, is the only thing.
Oh man. Dress Up Darling was really cute. It was really cute. I was glad to be the one of the friends that's just like, oh my god, yeah, I'm here to hype up the Marin. She's cute, you know. I loved it. I just like characters that like eating candy or always eating. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I don't know much about this. I hate to say it. I just haven't gotten into it. People have been trying to get me into it. The only thing I know is that volume 1 of the manga at one point was going for like $200 on eBay. And I'm like, this is crazy. And all I know is that it's a popular show and that it looks cute, it looks fun, it looks enjoyable, but I'm sure it'll be on my list. But I just know it's ultra popular.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely.
And then, you know, obviously the last one I want to talk about, before I give you a chance to promote yourself, is this one right here.
Spy Family. Yes, season 2 is coming out I think this fall. Actually next season, yeah. It's really fun. I love my spoiled little princess, but she's not like a mean girl about it, and I appreciate that about her. So the fact that I get to be the spoiled rich baby, I'm so excited. I get to add it to my baby list.
And so obviously, what is this like being part of this? Because this is another one. Obviously, My Dress Up Darling and this show and Spy X Family is really 2 really popular shows right now. And what is that like for you? Because it's kind of very interesting, I feel, the way your career has gone, where you're in all these roles. And then obviously the Ancient Magus Bride is coming back, and it's crazy, I would imagine.
Yeah, I love Becky, and I'm so glad this is coming back this season so quickly. She is the best friend that we all need that will stick up for us, but not like is a mean girl about it, and I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that so much, and I like friendships between, especially between women who and girls who are not like catty or want to, you know, take it out on somebody. Like she's just a cute little baby who doesn't know any better, but will stick up for Anya whenever she can.
Yeah, no, it's such a great role and it's enjoyable. And again, I'm catching up on that show too. So I am definitely behind on that show. But what I've seen of it, which is about 4 episodes, I'm thoroughly enjoying, and it's an amazing show. And what they've done with that show is fantastic.
Oh,
Um,
everybody's fantastic in it. Like, holy crap.
but yeah, so it's fantastic. And obviously I didn't get to all your roles. And I know you got a lot of stuff coming down the pike. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. Obviously, where could people find you? Where could people hit you up? Where could people check out your website? Obviously, I know that you do some stream stuff. I know that
Yeah.
autograph stuff. I know that I don't know what your con schedule looks like per se, because cons are tricky. Also, we're sort of heading in, I think, to the back end of the year, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that things are going to pick up come January, maybe February of
Oh, yeah.
2023. But yeah, where can people just bother you, hit you up, and find stuff, check out what you're doing, website, sign up for a newsletter, all that fun stuff. Social media is a big thing.
Yeah, you can just find me at Skinny Mini everywhere. Skinny Mini 07 everywhere. Um, that's usually what I go by. But like my website's Danny D Chambers. Um, I'm going to where am I going? I'm going to New Wave Expo in Corpus Christi next weekend. It's a 1-day event, so if you're going to be in the area in Texas, come say hi and we'll hang out and be fun. But yeah, it's it's just um oh man, I'm trying to think what else. No, yeah, it's just Skinny Mini 07 everywhere. And I hope that you guys follow me. I do Twitch too at Skinny Mini. I'm streaming. Oh yeah, I'm Nilu in Genshin, and if you guys want to see me stream, I'm streaming this Friday at 6 p.m. CST, and I'll be trying to pull for Nilu. So hope to see y'all there.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say that obviously you need to follow people on social media. Furthermore, when they are at a con and they have merch, you actually need to buy their merch.
You don't need to
Or
buy. You
no,
don't
no,
need
no,
to
they need to
buy
buy
it.
the merch. They need to buy
No,
the
you
merch.
can. If you stop by and say hi and say like, "Hi, I appreciate your performance," I'm like, "That's great. That's awesome, and I appreciate that." So yes.
I'm just saying that, and this is my new thing, is that if you like something and you want to see it continue, you need to watch people and the anime they're in. You need to watch it legally. That's a big thing. I got an idea. Everybody should buy a Crunchyroll account and actually watch the anime legally. It's always good to buy people's merch, whether that's a print, a poster, or whatnot. If people have buy me a coffee, that's a big thing because again, this is how stuff gets made. And
Yep.
so if you want stuff to get made and you want voice actors to voice act, then you need to support them both on social media and financially through various means. It's a big thing and it's extremely important right now. And that's something that's important. Following something on social media is not enough anymore. If they're at a con and they have a print and you don't have to do anything, but it's always nice when you do. And well, you get a cool print out of it. So there you go. Furthermore, just about me, obviously, I appreciate people following me on social media. It's Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can go check me out on YouTube at Pop Anime Comics. Check out all my other interviews. I do about 150 a year. So feel free to stop over there, as well as I do have a comic book class coming out later this month talking about comic book investing. So if you are interested in that, it's going to be about $40 on Udemy for about 18 to 22 hours of my time. I'm about 65% recorded, which is awesome. So that class is going to be
Nice.
up and ready to go. It's a blast. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to be really into this, or you're going to realize that you just spent $40 that's going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars because you do not want to be in this sector. And believe me, if you come out and say, Andrew, this was a horrible class and I don't want to be a comic book investor, that's okay. And I'm going to say, you just saved yourself a lot of money by learning that. So having said that, obviously I appreciate everybody who supports me in that fashion. Again, I just appreciate a follow on social media. It means a lot to me. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word. before I let you get out of here.
Oh, well, thanks. Thank you guys so very much for listening / watching. I hope you all have a great day, and thank you, Andrew, for having me on. I appreciate it, and hope y'all have a good rest of your week.
Awesome, everybody. I don't think I could have said that any better myself, and that is a wrap.